I keep a journal. I usually keep it daily. Sometimes it's not every day, and then there are periods where I do it every single day. I know that in the last 2 months, I've started doing the artist way, and I used my morning pages as a little bit of a journal over doing the journaling that I would usually do. Because, like, I would journal on the subway, journal at, like, my office if I brought it sometimes, journal from wherever I'm living, whatever my room is. And I do it to keep track of, like, just different things that happen. But it's interesting to revisit some of my journals. So I have a journal that I recently ended, not too long ago. I like wrote on the last page of the book, and this weekend I'm taking time to myself. So I was like, all right, let's start reading through it. So this one just happened to start off when I was doing a therapy session with someone, and I finally cried in our therapy session, and it had to do with something with one of my parents. And it starts off with a letter to that parent. And I was like reading through the letter, and I was like, wow, like that's a lot was one thing. And then as I was reading through it, what I found very interesting is that on August 25th, I finally decided that I was moving out of my apartment. I was just like, where I was living, I was just renting a room, and I did not enjoy it. And I would talk about how unhappy I was. And on that day, it was like, I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore. And as I read through, I see how I applied for an apartment. I didn't get the apartment. And then I was like, okay, this sucks. I'm not feeling good. And then I was sharing about how I have faith that the right apartment will come for me. Like, when it's time, it'll be time. I sold my stocks. I was ready so that I would have all the money needed to get an apartment. Because in New York, it's usually first month's rent, security deposit, broker's fee. Like, there's a lot of money that goes on when renting an apartment. So I had the money on hand, and I was ready. I was living in a space where it was very affordable, yet I wasn't very happy with the arrangement. And I'm not very good at always confronting people, and it was like I was dealing with a lot at work and dealing a lot in my home life, and for me it was just like too much. So I finally was just like, you know what, if I have to give one up, let's give up the living environment and live somewhere where I can have space to myself versus giving up the job. Because, like, for better or worse, I'm committed to having my job. So it's like, okay, the job's not going to go. And it was funny because I was talking to my mom about it, and she was like opposite. And I was like, sorry, Mom, that doesn't work for me. Like, I'd rather get rid of a roommate that I don't need to live with, and I'm only doing it to save money, and I'm making myself miserable versus like staying in a job where, even though it's not perfect, I am learning and growing. So it's like, okay, let's start there. So I'm Latia. This is my YouTube channel. Welcome. I'm a data engineer. I like manifesting, the power of words. I like all sorts of things. And right now this is more just me sharing about, I guess, like journaling and the power of tracking what's happening in life. Because as I revisit different journals and goals that I've set and things that I've written, where when I look at them, it's just like, wow, that happened. And I've had a lot of goals like this where when I was a kid, I used to write about, I want to be a very attractive person. I want to be fit. I want boobs that look like boobs. Like, I just want to have a body that looks like a woman's. Like that. I like the weird things. Soft skin, very attractive, very good at sex and sexual and all that stuff. So I always wanted to be like seductive and like sexy. I don't feel like I really cared much about I did not care about relationships because I did not want to be a housewife. I remember that very strong. I was like the type where it was like, if you think I'm going to be staying at home taking care of kids, no, I am not the one for that. Now, if you want to have a fun, awesome wife where we have this great partnership and we're like creating stuff together, and because neither one of us likes cleaning, we have like a housekeeper, or like we have like things where we work it out and we like work on it together, that's dope. I'm fine with that. And no, our children are not going to be slaves either. Like, I'm not having kids so that they can clean up after me. Like, no. Now, if we work together and we're like, okay, we make lots of money, our kids are probably going to be spoiled unless we have them do like some kind of work, then I'd be open to like, all right, you can have chores and I would like to compensate you for your time and like how well you do them. So But like that's like future discussion. But when it comes to setting goals and desires and different things, I write down a lot. So there are different things that I'll see and I'll just be like, it was really pleasantly surprising to see me write about the apartment that I wanted, because as I was looking at it, it was just like, I want an apartment with a bedroom and a studio apartment in Manhattan. I want to furnish it and put up what I want and really just like own the space. And it's funny because like I do have furniture. I mean, there are some things on the list that I'm like, all right, let's see, why do you keep procrastinating? Like, get it together. And it's like, I shall get it together. I am getting it together. I'm ready. But it's just nice. It's nice to like look back and see like the different goals that I've set, the things that have happened that I wanted to have happen, and just how one of the things that I feel is interesting is I don't understand when I'm celebrating hard work and people are like, did you thank God for that? And it's just like let's say I'm graduating from college and I'm like, I worked so hard, I'm so proud of myself, like I'm getting my degree finally. And people are like, but did you thank God for that? Did you thank God for your degree? And it's like, what? Did I thank God that I did all my homework, turned my stuff in on time, that I was working a job and I was doing track and I was doing this and doing that? No. Why would I thank God for that? One, it's like I did the work. Like, it's not like God was just like sitting there animating my body, doing the work for me. Like, this isn't Ghost. Like, Patrick Swayze isn't God, like coming in, controlling and manipulating my body. And the other thing of it is that from my standpoint, it's like, okay, God is in and through everything and like created this realm, all that good stuff. If God is our Father and we are like extensions of the Creator, no matter what you do, you can't do it without God being involved, in theory. So it's like, why must I always like give credit? And that's something that I've seen coaches, like a lot of coaches and people tell me, they're like, you need to give credit and, you know, honor the people who teach you things and show you stuff. And it's just like, but do I? Is it really necessary? Because like even at work, I was talking with some people and we were having a conversation. We went to lunch and I was like, hey, I want to go to this lunch spot. And they're like, yeah, let's go. But what really happened was I was like, hey, coworker who always has the good lunch spots to go to, what do you recommend? This person was like, I recommend this location. I was like, great. Hey guys, let's go to this location. And they're like, hey, sounds good. And I'm like, dope. This is where we're going. So then we're all together and I'm like, oh, this other person recommended it. And they're like, that trader who didn't even come with our group and like switch groups. And I was like, I mean, yeah, but like he still like did it. He's like, nah. They're like, you take the credit for this. And I was like, you're right. Thanks. So I don't know. I find how we operate in relationship to those things interesting. And it's nice to see what progress have I made? How far have I come? Because I even was working at Accenture making $75,000 and I was in a travel role, or a role with the opportunity to travel, even though we were going through their regional model revamp. And as I was there, I had a journal where before, when I didn't have jobs and didn't really know what I wanted, I was like, I want a job making $75,000 as a data engineer, and I was able to get that. So it's nice whenever you can see like the things that you want come true. And I can honor that it took work. There was one apartment I applied for that I didn't get. I went around over a period of, so like when I got the first apartment, I looked at 7 places in one day, and then I decided to live with this lady because it was like month to month. It was less than $1,000 a month. It was like easy. So then with this time around, I was like living with this person. I looked at a variety of apartments. Like I can't recall off the top of my head, but it was like 2 to 3 days of going deep into Brooklyn, seeing multiple places with one broker. I went into Manhattan, looked at some places. Then I snuck one in because it was like, okay, I have just enough time that I should be able to get to this place on time. And I went to that place, and then it was the last one of the day. So then I remember going to a wine bar on the Upper West Side, and then seeing a few more places. And I finally saw this place after work, and it was after a bad day at work. And I saw this apartment, and I was like, okay, like it looks fine. But I was kind of like jaded and out of it. And I was just like, has a bedroom, has a tub, sounds good, whatever, I'll like apply for it. and like I got some inside information supposedly, and I was like, hey, sounds cool. Then I went to Bloomingdale's, which isn't like it's in the neighborhood, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better about life and my job. Like, this just makes me feel not as depressed as I was feeling before. And then I ended up getting this apartment, and it was like I had to apply, I had to like pay it, put a down payment, I had to like there were steps that went into it, but that's just part of the journey. And I knew I was gonna find a place. And like the only part that I think like for me was like interesting was like when I told the person I was staying with, like the day I finally told them was the day I saw this apartment, and then like within a few days I was approved, and I was like, yeah, so moving out soon. And it was just like, what? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I just told you I was looking, and it just happened to work out really quickly. Thank the Lord, because I was ready. And it's nice because now I have an opportunity where I have lots of different examples of like things that I've done that I don't always give myself credit for. And I even like read about how I can tell that I don't always give myself credit, because I was just like, wow, since moving to New York, I've explored so many new things, done so much stuff. I've had my first pole competition. I've just gone through a lot of different things, and it's just fascinating to see like my growth and progress. And if I didn't have those journals, I wouldn't have like a written record of where have I been and where would I like to go. So I guess I'm just saying, like, maybe you should journal, especially have goals and things that you want. It helps. It's very powerful to put things down in words, and then it can also be a space of planning and like writing out steps. So hope this was helpful. Have a lovely day, and see you next time.